Welcome to the September 13th Tuckahoe Village Board of Trustees meeting. Will everyone please stand for the pledge? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Trustee Lang.
Present.
Trustee Howell.
Present.
Trustee Taylor.
Present.
Trustee Cronin.
Present.
Mayor Andino.
Present, and today we have one appointment. We're appointing Anthony Fiore to the Zoning Board of Appeals for an unexpired term expiring April 1st, 2025. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Trustee Lang.
In favor?
Trustee Howell.
In favor.
Trustee Taylor.
In favor?
Trustee Cronin.
In favor.
Mayor Andino.
In favor. Would you like to say something about this appointment, Deputy Mayor Lang? Deputy Mayor Howell?
Sure. So I just wanted to acknowledge all the good work Tony Fiore has done over the past years that he's been on zoning. And what I always say is your reward for doing good work is more work. So we're glad that you're there.
Yes, Anthony Fiore has served on the Zoning Board as an ad hoc member for 4 years, am I right? So, well-deserved. Congratulations.
Yes, long time coming.
Congrats.
So we have no presentations this evening. We have 3 public hearings. The first one, may I have a motion to, actually, we don't need a motion because it's already open, am I correct? So the public hearing to consider a proposed local law amending the village zoning code to prohibit stadium and sports lighting. We have been talking about this for some time now. If there's anyone that would like to come forward to make a statement regarding the stadium lights, you're welcome to do so now.
So, Anthony Fiore, 3 Pin Place, Tuckahoe. Does this include the portable ones too, or just the stationary ones?
I think it's all stadium lighting,
Okay, no matter what it is?
no matter what it is.
Portable, anything?
That's correct.
Or
Am
just
I right, Gary?
just for fields, or is this going to be like something, construction going on somewhere at nighttime? Is that allowed?
So it's stadium and sports lights.
Correct,
So,
that's
yeah, it's not just the stadium.
Oh, okay.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi.
8 Winslow Circle. I just wanted to thank the board for bringing this up because this will go a long way to protect our neighborhoods and keep our quiet and nicely lit village streets. These lights just are such a nuisance, and we appreciate all of your help passing this local amendment. So thank you.
And thank you for your efforts as well. Thank you.
Anyone else would like to speak regarding the prohibition of stadium and sports lighting?
Good evening, Madam Mayor. And
Good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I would also like to thank you, as Ed just did, for your dedication to this process. It's been a long time in coming. Some of you guys were here when this initiated, and it was a struggle. I would like to bring another chapter to this. In light of what's been going on in the village lately, as far as Concordia transferring ownership to Iona and them selling off certain properties, they weren't a good neighbor during this process with regard to the lighting, the sound, and the possible construction. They certainly were not above board. You guys were all here when that started. You saw the village meetings. We discovered them multiple times not being above board, which was quite disturbing to me, as well as yourselves, I'm sure. But now, as far as what they're doing with the properties that they're selling off, I'm sorry.
So, no, I just want to let you know that right now we just have the public hearing for the stadium lighting. If you could stay, you could bring that up again at a later discussion, and we also need your name and address for the record.
I'm sorry. Tom Carpenter, Winslow Circle. You're welcome.
Thank you very
Thank you
much.
again.
Anyone else have any thoughts on the specifically on the stadium lighting?
Good evening, Board. My name is Larry Marciano.
Hi.
I've lived here for almost 80 years. I played ball on the field without any lights. The lights would depreciate the quality of life, okay, on any home that borders the property. And you're talking about property where, number one, they pay no taxes. Number two, there are no voters. or not many voters to speak of, okay? And why should we make any concessions without giving something back? Not that it's one-to-one, but the quality of life, because on the south side of Winslow Circle, all those houses butt up almost right alongside, okay, to that property. There's no easement, there's no setback from the property. And who wants to look at lights from now until, okay, 12, 1 o'clock at night? Because you know they're not going to turn them off right after the game. They're going to be on. And they're going to bring additional people to the area, okay? And who's going to do the cleanup? Who's going to do the police monitoring, okay? And God forbid if there's a fire issue. So I'm completely against, again, okay, the lights going up on the Concordia / I own a property. And even though if I did sneak into their gym when I was a kid, okay, to play basketball. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else have any comments regarding the prohibition of stadium and sports lighting? Okay. Thank you. One more? Thank you. Anyone else?
Heather Nazi, I live on Terrace Place. I just have a question. I also oppose the idea of allowing the lights in this specific use case with Iona not paying taxes here, more of a commercial use. But is a blanket ban on all stadium lighting in the whole town the least restrictive way we can affect that goal? I'm just thinking ahead to our high school probably has lights and speakers, and do we have other fields in the town that our children might use for evening games where we might want to use those lights in the future? Is there something we can do with the zoning classification? Maybe a special use and have environmental standards that clearly cannot be met in this case because you're smack dab in the residential neighborhood, and maybe do it that way so that we don't end up with a prohibition that hurts us down the line.
Gary, you were reaching for the mic?
Yeah, we had looked into this. There's no schools that are located in Tuckahoe. There's no real fields other than ours that are located in Tuckahoe. So it's really not affecting any other property than the one up in, the old Concordia.
So,
What about the Tuckahoe schools themselves?
They're in Eastchester.
They're technically in Eastchester,
Yes.
so we just don't have. Okay.
Correct. Yep.
Fair enough.
so you'd have to go to their
Their town, the town council's meeting.
Okay, then yeah, probably is the easiest way to do it then.
Good point, though. Anyone else would like to speak? We are currently in the middle of a public hearing for the prohibition of stadium and sports lighting. If we have no other comments or concerns or questions to be voiced, I will ask for a motion to close the hearing.
So moved.
Second.
Trustee Lang.
In favor?
Trustee Howell.
In favor.
Trustee Taylor.
In favor?
Trustee Cronin.
In favor.
Mayor Andino.
In favor. The next public hearing I'd like a motion on is to consider establishing a model landmark preservation local law. If you were aware, in August, we passed a moratorium on any activity on any historic landmarks while the Historic Preservation Task Force works on legislation to present to the board for consideration. So I'd like a motion to open the public hearing for the preservation local laws.
So moved.
Second.
In favor?
In favor.
Taylor.
In favor?
Trustee Cronin.
In favor.
Mayor Andino.
In favor. So if there's anyone that would like to come forward and speak and give your input regarding establishing a model landmark preservation local law, now is the time to do so. Anyone?
Hi, Jenny Steinhagen, South High Street.
Hi, Jenny.
Mayor Andino, members of the board, on behalf of the Tuckahoe Historic Preservation Task Force, I come to you tonight from a place of gratitude, pride, and optimism for everything that you've been able to accomplish already this year in regards to historic preservation. For decades and generations, residents of Tuckahoe have been looking for formal ways to recognize, commemorate, and celebrate Tuckahoe's unique history, and we now have incredible opportunities in front of us, so we are very thankful. 3 things in particular. The first is, earlier this year, you created this task force, and you tasked us with 2 important things. The first was the drafting of historic preservation legislation, which is why we are here tonight, and I can get into later. The second was identifying a list of potential sites and structures in Tuckahoe for potential landmarking, and that list for months now has been on the tuckahoe.com website as part of the task force's charter. I'd also like to mention the task force has been meeting bi-weekly, and in anticipation of a potential and future passing of historic preservation legislation, we've already drafted, I should say customized, all kinds of forms that would be applicable for historic preservation legislation, whether it's landmarking designation forms or certificate of appropriateness forms. So we've been hard at work. The second thing, I'd like to thank you for that, the historic buildings moratorium that you mentioned was passed last month. This really cements the foundation of what we've been working on up till now, and that lays before us now with the historic preservation legislation. It guarantees protection while we make sure that this legislation that we put before you is the absolute best version of that legislation for our particular village. And that legislation, as you mentioned, was based on the New York State model law for historic preservation. Historic preservation it's huge in New York State and throughout the country, in fact, and that is where the local municipalities garner the authority to enact this type of legislation. In addition to working with the New York State Historic Preservation Office, we have worked individually with a number of municipalities, Dobbs Ferry, White Plains, Yorktowns. They've taken the time to sit with us and say, this is what works in historic preservations, these are some of the challenges, this is who we recommend you talk to, look at this. So we've been hard at work drafting what you have in front of you tonight that the public is also invited to look at. The legislation, of course, continues the preservation of the sites that meet a very rigorous qualification for historic preservation. So these are sites that meet 6 criteria to be considered. It's a formal process, so it involves incredible communication between property owners and the oversight body of the historic preservation legislation. And it includes designation for the landmarks that qualify. And it allows those landmarks to continue telling the stories of the past and be there to share some messages for our future. I'm happy to take any questions about the legislation, but for now, I will wait to see what happens next. But again, thank you. Thank you
you.
for everything.
You're welcome.
Anyone else would like to come forward to speak about the establishing of a model landmark law? Okay. If we have no one else, anyone on Zoom, David? Okay. This public hearing will remain open. So if anyone does have any further comments, you're free to come next month and offer your comments. The local law is on our website, so you can always go on there and take a look. And if you have any questions or concerns regarding the law as it's drafted now, feel free to come back next month. The third public hearing is to consider a proposed local law opting out of licensing and establishing retail cannabis dispensaries and/or on-site cannabis consumption establishments within the village of Tuckahoe. May I have a motion to open the hearing?
So moved.
Second.
Trustee Lang.
In favor.
Trustee Howell.
In favor.
Trustee Taylor.
In favor?
Trustee Cronin.
In favor.
Mayor Andino.
In favor. So if anyone would like to come forward now to give their comments regarding this local law, please do so now. Anyone?
Hello, my name is Mike Dardano. I live on Chestnut Street in Tuckahoe. Personally, I think that I don't really care whether there's a dispensary or not, but I feel that it would be great if the people could decide that. If there was if you let the people decide if they should or shouldn't be. But in lieu of that, I just want to say that some of the things I've heard about marijuana, people have said, oh, it's going to lead to heroin and things like that. I know hundreds of people that have smoked pot over the years, and only one person I know turned to heroin, and he had an addictive personality anyways. And cigarettes lead to cancer, alcohol leads to cirrhosis of the liver, and McDonald's leads to heart attacks. So I have a problem when people are saying, oh, pot's this and that. It's just for me. I'm not a doctor. I'm not a psychiatrist, just in my own experience as a person. So demonizing pot isn't going to change anything. You can make a phone call right now and get weed if you want. That's been the case for 50 years. So I just think that it would make sense to have the voters decide. But in lieu of that, if that's not going to happen, I just want to make it clear that pot isn't the demon weed that everyone says it is, but I respect whatever is voted on by the board or whatever. If they don't want to have dispensaries here, I'm fine with that. I just want to get that out.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And I just also want to make clear, if anybody else, as you're coming forward, that this board is proposing a local law regarding establishments. So the law to consume marijuana is already legal. So that's a good point to make. Good afternoon.
I disagree with my neighbor a little bit. This town has already voted on vaping rules. We voted on fast food restaurants here. So the voters have voted. It's been well known. We don't want this stuff in our town. I have no problem with anybody consuming anything that's legal. That's their business. Having an entity in our town is a whole different story. Eastchester has voted against it. Bronxville has voted against it. Once again, it comes down to Tuckahoe to make a responsible decision. I beg you all to consider all the children of the town. Anybody else, like my neighbor just said, if people want to consume it, they could make a phone call. Doesn't mean we have to have it distributed here in our town. This is our town. This is our village. Let's come together on this and make sure this is not something associated with the village of Tuckahoe. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
My name's Anthony Laurie. I'm in this town all my life. And I strongly oppose bringing that pot or any kind of other garbage pertaining to marijuana, whatever other kind of drug people want to bring here, keep it out. The only drugs you should be taking if your doctor prescribes you something. Otherwise, don't bring it here. We don't need it. It's destroyed the world. It's destroyed everything. It was said many years ago, keep it away from the schools. Where did it land? All near the schools and the colleges. Keep it away from there. It burns the brain out.
Thank you. Anyone else have any comments regarding this particular issue?
Scooter Scott.
Aye.
And it's a quality of life issue. We've already got a dispensary in Yonkers. People in the area who want to avail themselves can go there. Yonkers has a much bigger footprint. They can put it in an area where the living facilities are not affected by people who are going for recreational pleasure. In a village our size, we don't have the footprint to distance it properly, to secure the safety and whatever negative consequences that come. And I'm not saying that people who use are a negative consequence necessarily. I am saying that whenever you look at any regulated intoxicant, there is a certain percentage that always brings a negative side to it, whether it's alcohol, whether it's gambling, anything like that. And in a village of our size, with its geographical footprint, its physical size, and the intimacy within which everything interconnects, I think it's an incredibly bad idea.
Thank you for your
Thank you.
comments. Anyone else?
My name is Kent Folia. I live at 28 Bronx Street in Tuckahoe. This is the first I'm hearing of this. I'd like to know if there have been any studies done on the effects of having these dispensaries in a neighborhood or community of this size, and what kind of effect or what kind of traffic does it bring into the area? Will we be bringing in more people from Eastchester and Bronxville to participate? Maybe you can answer that for us.
I'm not really sure if there's been a study done. I mean, I know we haven't done one here specifically, but there have been studies done. I know that Deputy Mayor.
Wise to pull on some of these studies before a decision is made on the effects of having these dispensaries.
So do you want to speak on that, Deputy Mayor? You said?
Yeah, I think there are, certainly there's places in the United States where marijuana has been legal, so there have been studies about, effect on business, effect on communities, and, I think we can publish links to those.
Okay.
I don't know that it's going to answer the specific question you've brought up, but there's data out there.
Well, if it doesn't answer it, maybe it should be answered, and some research should be done. And would that be up to the board here?
Well, I think it's
May
up
I?
to the residents to
Residents.
do that as
Yeah.
well. Yep.
So basically, what would be the next process to have the residents have that implemented?
So the residents would have to do that research and then come forth and bring
Oh,
your
we have
comments.
to do the
Right.
research for you.
So we can,
Who's proposing, I'm sorry, I didn't.
no.
mean to interrupt you.
We can put some links up to give some information.
Right.
But the public hearing period is so that people can bring forth comments. And this public hearing will remain open next month as well.
Okay, and because I'm new to the
Yeah.
meetings here, who proposed this law to be, or this effect to be implemented?
So we have to make a decision by January 1st to opt out
Yeah,
or opt
but
in.
who
So the New York
York
State,
State.
it's a law, and as part of the law, they allowed for local communities to have jurisdiction over what happens in their community. So we all get to vote to opt out of having stores, and distributors. Is that the right word, Gary? Or
We understand where
dispensaries?
you're
Yeah.
going.
Yeah.
Dispensaries.
So New York has given the power to the local communities to make that decision,
Right.
and we have till
And
December.
hold on one second. Can I just ask those members in the audience that are not at the mic, please do not call out.
So
Okay, I understand that. If the state has allowed it, are they saying everybody has to, it's mandated for everybody unless the community opts out? Is that the way the law reads?
Yes.
yes.
That's
Okay.
correct.
I
So we
wanted to
either,
understand where this derived.
right, so we either opt out of the law or we opt in.
Okay.
So that's why the public hearing, so to your point, we believe that the community should have input in that decision, which is the reason for the public hearing.
Okay, now I understand
Yeah.
a little bit more. And what do we need to do to stop it?
Well, the community is doing exactly what you're doing.
Okay, no,
Coming-
I understand.
Absolutely.
Do we need a vote on it? Do we need
No, so
everybody to say
this
no?
board votes on it.
That board votes on it.
Yeah.
And how do we make your decision say no?
Well, you're doing what you're doing right now.
You're doing it right now.
Exactly what you're doing right now.
Exactly what you're doing.
All right, thank you.
Yes, and the public hearing will remain open next month again, so,
Okay, so we need more people here to voice our opinion. on it.
absolutely.
So
That's exactly what we love.
need to do.
Yeah.
What we see here today is what we love.
Okay, do you have a bigger room?
We do not.
Thank you.
And
Thank you very much for your comments. Anyone else would like to voice their opinions on proposing the local law opting out? Anyone on Zoom?
Hello again. I wanted to take a moment to talk a bit about some of the research that I've been doing on what this looks like when you bring a form of cannabis distribution to a town. So personally, I believe that years into the future, these are going to be just like liquor stores. They are going to be common and they're going to be ubiquitous. And there's going to be problems that come along with that, just as we have a liquor store in town that I'm sure we have to keep an eye on. But we have the choice where we can either benefit from the profit that could come from it now, or be laggards and not be able to have the opportunity in the future. And a lot of the reason that people don't want this is due to fear mongering. Unfortunately, cannabis has received a bad and incorrect reputation, which is steeped in a lot of historical racism, to be very frank. So I wanted to read a little bit of a snippet from this New York Times article that was published. This is talking to the city of East Hampton in Massachusetts, where they opened their first dispensary in 2018. And they are talking to the mayor, and she says that the 1,000 square foot dispensary generated $84,000 in revenue for the city, roughly 16,000 people in April, May, and June alone. There was not an uptick in crime, she said, nor increased ambulance calls. They did not need any more patrols. Instead, the city was forced to repair and repave roads damaged by a heavy flow of customers, and the people just come from everywhere. So while I know that we don't necessarily have a big footprint, we certainly do have a lot of places that need business and stores that need to be filled. People want to move to, invest in, visit, and start a business in a progressive town that's ready to take advantage of things to come, where tax revenue is going well. And banning these businesses outright makes a public statement that we're not forward-leaning, and that I think right now we're not in a place to make decisions and ban this opportunity, but rather that we need to do more research. We can't rush to ban this right now, and we do have until the end of the year to decide. So my preference would be to learn a little bit more about how this has worked in other communities, and then make a better decision for ourselves. As was mentioned, people have had the opportunity to vote on fast food, on vaping, and I think that more people need to be heard before a final decision is come to. Thank you so much.
If I may,
Thank-
I'm sorry, may I?
I just,
Oh.
let the rest, if everyone else has, and then I'll have.
No, I
a-
actually want to comment
sure,
on
sure,
what
sure.
Sarah had mentioned.
Sure.
You should be aware that we could always opt back in. This is our chance to opt out. We could opt back in at any given time, just so you're aware. Thank you, Sarah. Thank you for your comments.
Anyone else? Someone who has not spoken yet? Mm-hmm. No problem.
Thank you. My name is Maria Palagrosi. I live here in town. And I just have one comment. Before the next board meeting, is it okay maybe if a mailing gets sent out to the residents of the town? Because this is the first I'm hearing about this.
A mailing?
Well, at least informing the residents what's going on. This is the first I'm hearing about. I never heard about this opting in or opting out. Maybe we
Right.
should know a little bit more before a
Yeah.
final decision gets made.
So, I mean, that's something that we could discuss. I'm not sure that we would be able to do a mailing throughout the village, but that's a possibility for the village, this board, to discuss and decide on.
I think it's...
Some way to make sure that more people are informed, at least.
Well, I think so. You have a lot of schools around here. You have a lot of children that are young. I think bringing pot in is enabling them, and you're making matters worse instead of making it better. That's just my point of view. My son is thus graduated from Tuckahoe. He's in college now. It could be given at any point, any time in the day. But I just think you really should think about this before you make a decision.
So that's what we're doing today. We're
Well,
thinking
let's
about
hope
it
it's
and
in the
hearing from you.
right decision, not wrong.
Okay, and then the other thing that I think is very helpful is word of mouth. So those of you who are here that are hearing about this, telling your friends and your neighbors is very helpful, because you also have your own sphere of influence and can have people that you're close to be informed, and then they can also come and give their
I think
comments.
you should post, maybe, it shouldn't be, it's great that it's word of mouth, but I think the responsibility should come from the board,
Mm-hmm.
not from us.
No, I'm not saying that there isn't our responsibility. I'm saying that the community also can share in that responsibility.
Well, I
to
think
inform
maybe you
people.
should put a posting somewhere within the, you got a lot of,
It's a good point.
yeah,
It's
you
a good
should
point.
maybe put postings along, let's say, storefronts and just say, like, listen, this is a very serious issue, maybe we need to discuss this further before a decision needs to be made.
Right. Okay.
I don't know, there's a lot of bulletin boards, you can put right in front of the
This board will discuss that and figure out the best way.
favoring you the right thing.
Thank you. Hold on one second. And I would just ask once again, if you are not at the mic and you're not coming up for comments, to please refrain from calling out. Yes.
Since it's still illegal federally, would any dispensary that did get a license in the town be required to transact in all cash? Just because I think that like would be a meaningful like change in the risk profile of having a business like that. Because they would have to store large amounts of cash on site, which would
Yeah.
maybe attract crime.
I don't know, Gary.
I don't know the answer to that. I assume they're going to be able to take credit cards, I would think.
Oh, yeah, well, they'll definitely be able to, take payment. It's what they do with the money is up to them. They
Yeah.
can't put it into banks like you had just
yeah,
mentioned.
So that makes it hard.
Yes.
To do things like
So it's a good point. They will be.
'Cause
Yeah.
that would, I just think it's a meaningful change.
Mhm.
Like, I personally have no issue with marijuana. I think, I really think in a lot of ways it's better for people than alcohol. And I think that, we're seeing that cultural change, and that's all fine and well. But I think to have a business that necessarily has to operate with all cash, especially in a small village like this with limited police resources, might not be ideal for the community.
Good
Interesting
point.
point,
Thank you
yeah.
very much.
Thank you. Can I make a point of, okay.
Sure.
Yeah.
Well, let's let everyone know. Mhm. Just state your name and address, please.
It's John Arvonio. I've lived in Eastchester, Tuckahoe my whole life. I will remind you, this used to be a school and a library. We're standing in a library. There used to be a whole bunch of books around here. And now we're talking about bringing in pot. It's interesting. But yeah, this is the first time I'm hearing of this too. It should be on the website, or at least a mailing to everybody. This is an important decision.
It's on the website.
on the website?
Yeah, it's on the website. But still, I think
Yeah,
your
yeah,
point
but
to your
we
point
need
is
to communicate. Transparency is a big, a big thing to do for the board. I think the village has a lot of other problems. If you look around, catch basins are falling apart. Marbledale and Fisher, I almost fell in one of them. They've been like that for 3 years. I've spoken to Frank. He's told me that the village board will not hire a mason to help them fix the catch basins. That's the first I'm hearing of that. If you go down to Starbucks, the sidewalks are falling apart.
so.
There's iron side rebar sticking out of the ground. There's cones all over Tuckahoe. Tuckahoe's falling apart, and we're trying to put in a pot dispensing store.
So again, I just
hold on.
want to make a point
This is why
that
there's a lot of empty stores in Tuckahoe, because the landlords are crazy. They want $45 a square foot for something that's worth $10. So he's going to stay empty.
right. So I just want to go back to remind everyone that right now we're just hearing about the
No,
public
I
hearing.
understand it, but I'm telling
and-
you, we got more important things to do than
Right.
than
And so what
establish
the public should be happy about is that this board has a public hearing to hear the public.
Right.
So we're not proposing to put dispensaries in Tuckahoe. We're opening it up to get public hearing, and we're having that for several months. We're not just having a public hearing today, closing it and voting.
Right, so the
We
hearing
want to
is
hear
about
from
choice,
everyone.
Right? We're trying to decide whether we want to have a choice to have this or not.
Right, and hearing your input is very important.
Yeah, I think it's clear that they might be 2-3 people out of 10 that might say it's a good idea, but if you think about it overall, it's the type of thing that you err on the side of conservatism, and maybe we do it later some other time, but right now it doesn't make sense. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else? I know this gentleman, you had a second comment?
Yeah, all I wanted to do, thank you. I just wanted to remind everybody to bring your neighbors with you next time, so we can bring more people into this discussion to make sure that the vote is the proper vote. That is why I wanted to say.
Thank you.
Thank you again.
Thank you. Anyone else? Yes.
Christy Giorgio, 50 Columbus. I guess I'm going to be the lone wolf here, but I don't have an objection to having dispensary here in Tuckahoe. I don't like the smell. I've never taken marijuana, not thrilled with it. But there's a few things I think people may not know. First off, it is prescribed by medical doctors often to have that. That's happening right now. But there are people who have other issues that maybe are unable to go to the doctor, but know that marijuana can be helpful. Or they're pretty sick. For example, cancer patients, yes, they can get prescribed, but a lot of people are hand to mouth with regard to getting a doctor. And here I am, a doctor, saying, you know, that somebody can do something over the counter. The other thing is some people cannot have an appetite. You know, marijuana is good for that. So there are other things, and I want to speak about a friend of mine who had recently had a serious bout of cancer, and she could not sleep for, I want to say, 14 days straight. The pain was unbearable. They put her on codeine. They put her on Vicodin. They put her on everything. She said to me, the only thing that worked was pot. And how pot works, she said to me, was, it's not that I didn't feel the pain. I still had pain. But what it did was I didn't care about the pain. And that's an interesting point to make about this. Do I want to see children taking pot? No, I don't. I'm assuming that, like with cigarette laws, a 16-year-old can't go into the dispensary and buy the pot. They need proper identification. So all I'm saying is I don't think we should just rush to a judgment that it's all bad. There is some good to it. There wouldn't be the New York State allowing it for the rest of the state if there wasn't some positives to this. And I just wanted to voice my opinion on it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I will take one more, and then we will continue this public hearing next month. So is there anyone else? Hi.
Hello.
Gina Lee, 1 Westview Avenue. I just wanted everyone to be aware that we are opted in until we opt out. Isn't that correct? So as of January, we are in right now. You have to opt out.
We have until January, am I correct?
Right.
To
Yeah,
opt out,
But
and
right now it's in. So if you don't say anything, we're in.
not, I mean, David, is that how that? It's like,
You're in.
right, by December 31st. We have until then. Mhm.
So we're opt-in until till the board decides to opt out.
Okay.
Okay? And please, board, just think of our children in this community. That's all I'm asking.
Thank you.
Thank you. I would just like to make a point of clarification about the law in New York State, because I think there are a lot of people who are just finding out about this law now, and so I think it would be helpful for a lot of people, for a lot of residents to understand the law. In last year, New York State passed a law legalizing marijuana consumption and sales in New York State. Consumption, I believe, was legal as of maybe March or April 1st. sales will not be legal until next year. We don't have any control. This board or the village has no control as to whether or not people can or cannot consume marijuana within the village boundaries. And people are allowed to, residents are allowed to, all the New York State residents, not just Tuckahoe or Eastchester or anywhere, are allowed to grow up to 6 plants in their homes. And this is not something that we are allowed to curtail. So anywhere in New York State that smoking cigarettes is legal, smoking marijuana will also be legal. And so I think that's an important thing for everybody to understand, because the only thing that we really have a choice over is whether or not to allow dispensaries or consumption lounges like hookah bars or that kind of thing. So that is what we are evaluating right now.
Okay. So thank you everyone for your comments. We will continue this public hearing next month at the next village board meeting. So next we go to the adoption of minutes for the July 13th, 2021 and August 11th, 2021 board meetings. May I have a motion for approval of those minutes?
So moved.
Second.
Trustee Lang.
In favor.
Trustee Howell.
In favor.
Taylor.
In favor.
In favor.
In favor. And we go to the first opportunity to address the board on any agenda items. I ask that you bring forth any agenda items that were not part of the public hearing if you have any comments. If anyone has any comments on any agenda items. Okay, so we'll move on to resolutions. And our first resolution, I ask for a motion authorizing a proposed local law amending the village zoning code to prohibit stadium and sports lights. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Trustee Lang.
In favor.
Trustee Howell.
In favor.
In favor.
Trustee Cronin.
In favor.
In favor. And so there you have it, gentlemen who've been coming here every month for the last few months. Congratulations. We now have a law that prohibits stadium and sports lighting in Tuckahoe. The next resolution I'm asking for a motion authorizing setting a public hearing to repeal Article 11 of the Workforce Housing of the Village of Tuckahoe Zoning Code. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Trustee Lang.
In favor.
Trustee Howell.
In favor.
Trustee Taylor.
In favor.
Trustee Cronin.
In favor.
Mayor Andino.
In favor. And so this public hearing, we will be discussing the possibility of adopting the county's model ordinance regarding affordable housing or parts of it. And so at this time, we're going to be setting the public hearing for next month. Am I correct, David? For October 5th. Next resolution is authorizing the mayor to execute an agreement with Fundamental Business Service for a parking enforcement management services. May I have a motion to authorize me to execute an agreement?
So moved.
Second.
Trustee Lang.
In favor.
Trustee Howell.
In favor.
Trustee Taylor.
In favor.
Trustee Cronin.
In favor.
Mayor Andino.
In favor. And on a lighter note, where I'd like a motion authorizing Growlers Beer Bistro to hold an Oktoberfest event on Saturday, October 2nd. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Trustee Lang.
In favor.
Trustee Howell.
In favor.
Trustee Taylor.
In favor.
Trustee Cronin.
In favor.
In favor. May I have a motion authorizing fiscal year ending May 31st budget modifications? We had to make some modifications to the budget and move some line items around. So may I have a motion to do so? I believe that the changes are on our website. Am I correct, David? Yes. Okay, if they aren't, they will be by tomorrow. May I have a motion authorizing? Mhm.
Second.
Trustee Lang.
In favor.
Trustee Howell.
In favor.
Trustee Taylor.
In favor.
Trustee Cronin.
In favor.
In favor. Also, may I have a motion authorizing approval of vouchers in the amount of $936,453.33.
So moved.
Second.
Trustee Lang.
In favor.
Trustee Howell.
In favor.
Trustee Taylor.
In favor.
Trustee Cronin.
In favor.
Mayor Andino.
In favor, we have to pay the bills. Resolution number 7, authorizing the submittal of an application for a public library construction program grant for the reconfiguration of the children's room to improve early literacy and creating a new space for teens in the amount of $250,000 with a matching contribution of $125,000. May I have a motion for that?
So moved.
Second.
Trustee Lang.
In favor.
In favor.
In favor?
In favor.
In favor. And the final resolution, may I have a motion authorizing the village to submit a registration to the Westchester County Department of Senior Programs and Services to become a livable communities village participant? And Trustee Cronin, you'll talk a little bit about this later?
I will. So
May-
moved.
May I have, yes.
Second.
Trustee Lang.
In favor.
In favor.
In favor?
In favor.
In favor. And there being no discussion items, we will go to departmental reports. And so can we start with the Chief of Police?
Good evening,
Hi,
Madam
Chief.
Mayor, members of the board. Just a couple of quick announcements. I just want to acknowledge that tomorrow is Detective Sergeant Abe Batista's last day of work, last day on the books anyway. After 20 years of service to this village, Abe came on in 2001, quickly rose to become a detective in our department, later a patrol sergeant, and then ultimately detective sergeant commanding the detective division. He was living out in the east end of Long Island, working as a park police officer, and as I said, at his retirement, somehow his resume ended up on Chief Mignon's desk, and you know, he embraced this village, and the village embraced him. It was a great run for 20 years. He had a tremendous opportunity in the private sector. Very proud of him. He applied for a job with several hundred applicants, and he got the job. So he was leaving unexpectedly, but it was an opportunity he couldn't pass up. But it's just a tribute to him that he was able to get that job with many people applying. So we just want to wish Abe Abe Bellardo is his name. We call him Abe. Want to wish Abelardo the very best in his future endeavors and thank him for his service.
Yes. Thank you to him. I got a chance to talk to Abe, Chief, before his departure, and I was moved by how emotional he was about leaving and his love for Tuckahoe and for the department.
Yeah, he's going to be sorely missed, but you know, we've had discussions about his replacement, and we'll be swearing in a new sergeant and a new detective sergeant at the October 4th meeting.
Yep.
So we're looking forward to that. And just lastly, I just want to announce that the Tuckahoe Police Department is partnering with Bronxville Police Department to host a barbecue on September 25th at the Bronxville Village Hall at 12:30 p.m. It'll run to 2:30. We're going to invite members of both communities to have a good time and meet our police officers, and I think it's a great opportunity to just sit down and have a conversation with our officers at a function that's going to be a lot of fun.
Yes.
So looking
Sounds
forward
great.
to that.
Sounds great. Thanks,
That's all I
Chief.
have this evening.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Frank, DPW.
It's taking me a little time to walk to the mic.
I wonder why.
Good evening, Mayor, members of the board.
Good evening.
I just want to talk about a couple things tonight. Most importantly, Storm Ida, which inundated so many homes here in the village and really everywhere. We received over 8 inches of rain in such a short period of time. No one was really prepared, and no one expected, well, the amount of flooding that it caused, not only in the village of Tuckahoe, but really everywhere. But I want the residents and everyone to know that DPW is here to help. You know, just give us a call. We'll support you as much as we can. What residents don't know is that we carry sandbags in our DPW facility, so anybody's welcome to fill sandbags and take as many as you like. If you're incapable of doing that, we will assist. We also store ejector pumps and generators. We have quite a few, so we lend them out. to those in need, and we just ask that you return them as soon as you're done with them so we could give them to the next person or family that might need it. And we also helped in expediting debris and removal at curbside. We're here to help. Any questions, please, everybody feel free to call DPW. Con Edison, I just want to talk about Con Edison. It seems as though they're all over Tuckahoe. The reason they're in Tuckahoe, and I'm happy with their installing of their main gas lines, is because we have numerous leaks, gas leaks in the village. These lines are over 125 years old, and I think it's very imperative that we allow them to do the work that they're doing. They've been working on Underhill, they've been working on Wallace, Van Dusen, Cameron, Pleasant Avenue, and now this phase of this project is almost complete. They're working their way up to Pleasant Avenue, which is also almost complete. And last but not least, and I'm hoping it's the last road for this year, will be Young Place. Most importantly, what people don't realize is that once Con Edison is completed with all these gas man replacements, they're required to pave these roads from curb to curb, which is at no cost to the village of Tuckahoe, which is very important. We've instilled this law in Tuckahoe, this ordinance, 14, 15 years ago. So anytime there's a patch or work that's done in a road, that utility company is required to pave from curb to curb. To Mr. Arvonio's, to answer Mr. Arvonio's questions, we had an extensive amount of catch basin repairs. We're almost at the final end of our list. We are paving extensively this year. So we want to make sure that these catch basins are completed. We're almost there. We have a few left. And once they're completed, we're going to begin our paving. Last but not least, DPW Day. I just want everybody to know that we were not able to do DPW Day last year because of the pandemic, of course. But on Saturday, October 23rd, at Main Street Park, DPW will be having their annual Get Acquainted with Your DPW Day. Children and adults can sit behind our machinery and equipment that will be parked at the Main Street Park, and all our machinery and equipment will be displayed. Booths and stations will be set up explaining our daily activities and many of our sustainable initiatives and projects. Tuckahoe Environmental Committee will be there, the Beautification Committee will be there. So anybody that might have any questions for them, please ask. Games and events for children, hot dogs and popcorns will be offered. Trolley rides throughout the village explaining a lot of our projects and sustainable initiatives that we've taken on over the years. And get a chance to meet your DPW staff and much, much, much more. So everybody's welcome. Any questions with anything I have said tonight, please feel free to call DPW and ask for Frank DeMarco or Joe Tavalillo, which is our general foreman.
Thank you,
Any
Frank.
questions?
No, I'd just like to thank DPW through Hurricane Ida. People were just putting everything and anything out, and understandably so. And DPW was there. They worked on Saturday. Frank, I just want to read a message that I received from a resident. I asked her if it was okay for me to read. Her name is Susan Weigelman Day. And she said, Tuckahoe DPW should be applauded for all of their support and help during and after the horrendous storm. Endless pickups of everyone's flooded basements, walls, appliances, carpet, and endless boxes and bags of everything in our basement. If you put it out, there they took it. Even today on a Saturday, Lake Avenue is extremely grateful. So thank you, Frank, and the DPW team.
Thank you, everybody. It's a pleasure.
Thank you. Yes, thank you.
Is Johnny going to be here? No, not today. You're gonna do the report for the community center? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So never mind. May I have library Swadish? Just speak into the mic, because I'm hearing you can't hear. Everyone can't hear.
Good evening, Mayor, Trustee, and fellow residents. As some of you know, the library got flooded during Ida. Fortunately, now we are open for business. Thanks to many who helped and their support, especially our Marco and his team, and Elliot and his team for their many hours of cleanup. And as for the library update, I want to say thank you to the Esmond Nissim Foundation for donating $50,000 to the library for renovation. And today we also heard from Assemblywoman Amy Pollan that Tuckahoe Library was awarded $34,187 for an electric panel upgrade.
We can applaud for money, that's good.
For an electric panel upgrade and parking lot renovation as a part of the New York construction grant. And also, I want to let you know that we also submitted a New York State construction grant application in the amount of $300,000 for library renovation in August 2021. Thanks to the village board and the Friends of the Library for the commitment of $125,000 and $25,000 respectively. And thanks to Trustee Howell and all the volunteers for very successful Tuckahoe race. In terms of upcoming events, most of our programs remain on Zoom with some in-person events like teen, and for children we are doing some outside program in our garden and in the story time in the park. And I just want to give you a little glimpse of the upcoming events. In September 21st at 7 p.m., we have a special program, September 11, commemorative panel, where we have 3 authors who are going to discuss their books. And then we have for the adults also the book club, which is going to be September 22nd and 6:30 p.m. Wednesday, and we are reading the Book of Lost Friends by Lisa Wingate. If anybody's interested, the copies of the books are available at the library. And tomorrow, Tuesday, September 14, 1 p.m., we have online memoir writing workshop. And some of our adult programs, virtual meditation, which is every Wednesday at 12 p.m., September 1st, 8th, 15th, 22nd, and 29th. And we have online gentle chair yoga with Ann Casapini, which is on Thursdays at 5:30 p.m., September 16th and 23rd. And we also have Tai Chi, which is on Tuesday, 9 a.m., September 14th and 28th. And some of the children's program, we have outdoor kids craft where kids are going to make picture frame, and online kids book buzz, which is going to be September 30th at 4 p.m. and children's story time in the park starting this Tuesday tomorrow at 11 a.m. Thanks to Miss Elaine and Jessica Neto. I think they are doing amazing job. And also we have online yoga for kids, pre-K ages 2 to 5, Wednesday, September 15 at 11 a.m. and for kids ages 6 to 10, Wednesday, September 15 at 4 p.m. And we have art classes by Mike Teeter, ages 7 to 10, September 22nd, Wednesday at 4:30 p.m. And for teens, we have a special outdoor teen craft, which is going to be on Monday, September 27th at 4 p.m. And hope to see you at the library. Anybody, any question or?
Thank you. Thank you, Swadish.
Thank you.
Gary, village attorney, do you have anything? Camille? David? You sure? Okay. If we don't, at the end, you do it. All right, so then that takes us to miscellaneous business. We think we might have movies in the park on Friday, September 17th, but that's all depends on the weather, right? Trustee Cronin. So look out for any notices if there are any changes around that. Also, Tuckahoe Cares Day, I'm sure you're going to talk about that. And just a reminder, the next village board meeting is October 4th. And that will take us to Board of Trustee member reports. So we'll start with Trustee Lang.
Thank you, Mayor.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so first I have something from the Tuckahoe Beautification. So these are, let me just start by saying, it says, "Hi, Danny, thank you for reporting at meetings. We need publicity and encourage our residents for donations." So this is really what this is all about. Okay, so folks, here we go. In January, a fundraiser was mailed to both property and business owners in the village. Many of the donations received included words of praise on how great the village looks. The donations were acknowledged when received. In May, 150 hanging baskets are hung along Main Street, Depot Square, Columbus Avenue, and Fisher Avenue. Geraniums plants were planted in planter boxes on Main Street Bridge and in the various planters throughout the 2 business districts of our village. Early in the year, a new Lakeview sign was purchased and installed at Triangle Park. Throughout the year, additional engraved pavers were purchased and installed at the Station Park next to Bagel Loft. In the late spring, a number of shrubs and flowers were added to the island at Lincoln Avenue and Marbledale Road. And in late September, purple and white cabbages, along with several white mums, were planted along Fisher Avenue. In the summer, a stone pillar at Dante Avenue, entering from Columbus Avenue, was constructed and donated by the Rugliano family. A bronze plaque on the pillar acknowledges the donation. A new Parkview Heights neighborhood sign hangs on the pillar. Two more paragraphs. In late November, 100 double-sided 24-inch fresh wreaths with lights and red velvet bows were hung on the lampposts in various areas of the village. The bridge was decorated with wreaths, lights, and roping, and the planter boxes on the bridge filled with assorted evergreens. Wreaths were hung on the community center and library building, and a very large wreath hung in front of Village Hall. The wreaths and bows funded by Tuckahoe Beautification. The Raffiani Foundation provided funding for the holiday lights. The Department of Public Works provided labor to plant, hang baskets, water and maintain various planters and flower beds throughout the year. In November, DPW is hard at work decorating the village for the holiday season. These men do a great job. We thank the entire DPW staff. We deeply appreciate the help they provide and work that they do. In 2020, Tuckahoe Beautification received another large grant from the same foundation that provided the grant last year. The name of the foundation to be announced at a later date. As of date, upgrades to the community center and library just about completed. These noticeable improvements consist of brick facing, pavers installed in several areas, new benches, planters, a sprinkler system, landscaping. Further improvements are scheduled for that area. New colorful benches were installed along the Metro North fence by Starbucks and post office building, and a new bench by Carvel. A new fence was installed with new stonework at the back of Village Hall on Underhill Street. Work is underway to repoint and power wash stone along Main Street in front of Village Hall. New planters and benches have been also earmarked for Main Street. New blue dual trash and recycling bins will also be installed in the village to replace the green receptacles. One has been installed by the community center parking lot. Presently working on obtaining proposals to aesthetically improve other areas of the village. So you can see that the beautification is hard at work, and again, we encourage all of our residents, to help out. So if you're interested, they can be reached, or you could send donations to the TBA at Post Office Box 142, Tuckahoe, New York 10707. And also residents, Mrs. Shamara was kind enough to provide us with her very own cell phone, and she says, you feel free to call her. She's at 914-772-7816, or you could email her at SuzanneShamara255@gmail.com. Thank you so much, Ms. Shamara, for all this hard work. Thank you.
Yes, thank her. Is that all?
I'm sorry, just one other thing. I just want to, with the recent flooding that occurred in our village, I just want to encourage our residents. There's a little public service announcement for our police department. I just want to encourage our residents to sign up with Swift 911 for all Tuckahoe police updates. You can text Swift 911 to 99538 or simply visit tuckahoe.com to sign up. Thank you. Thank you, Mayor.
That's a very good point to keep up to date with info. Thank you, Trustee Lang. Deputy Mayor Howell.
So I also wanted to recognize, what happened with the Hurricane Ida, and I just wanted to let people know that I've gotten many reports on how great the DPW was, in addition to picking up trash. And I hope that the neighbors who stopped yesterday at the race and spoke to me, I tried to direct them to Frank since he was there running, so that he got that feedback firsthand. In addition, our police were out in great force that day, helping the residents with the mess that was to be cleaned up. So I just wanted to give a shout out to DPW and the police for all their help, as well as neighbors. I saw an incredible amount of neighbors helping neighbors. So we had a couple people down near Lake Avenue, near the Bronx River, and that got in touch with us. We called DPW. They got the pumps out there and generators, which were needed. But I also saw neighbors taking their pumps and generators to other neighbors that needed them. So it was really just nice to see that kind of support. I wanted to mention to people that Congressman Jamal Bowman will be hosting a Zoom meeting tomorrow on FEMA assistance, September 14th at 6 p.m. He'll have representatives there who can answer questions on how you can seek funds for covering damage by the storm that might not be covered by insurance or other means. This weekend, we also observed the 20th anniversary of 9/11. And when I first heard that Tuckahoe would have its own remembrance, I was not sure that we had much to add, but our brief, heartfelt ceremony really said a lot about our community. So I was really very grateful that we did this and grateful for the participation from the community. Later on Saturday evening, members of the board were able to attend the Parkview Heights Block Party, and there we had Vito Pinto, a veteran, lead the children in a moving remembrance ceremony. So the community had a great event. I'm very proud of the Parkview Heights Block Party and the neighbors there. They do an amazing job, and I just wanted to thank them. As far as planning and zoning, the next planning board meeting will be September 21st, and zoning will be October 3rd. The same items that have been there on the summer will be returning for those meetings. I also wanted to remind people that school is back in session. School boards are meeting, and there's important issues that are being discussed at school boards, certainly COVID, and how that's controlled as we get the kids back into school full time. There was also something passed by the Board of Regents at the state of New York. And the Board of Regents expects that all school districts will develop policies and advance diversity, equity, and inclusion. And part of that implementation is forming committees that address the topics and are tasked with implementing policies with fidelity and urgency on the front. So there's a lot of discussion going on at the school board meetings, and I encourage people to have their voices heard at their Board of Ed meetings. The Tuckahoe Challenge. So we've heard some rumbles about it. It was an amazing day yesterday. The mayor apparently proclaimed good weather, and it was made so. We had over 426, to be exact, registered participants. In 2019, we had 396, so we really came back to our pre-COVID numbers. It was a great, great event. There were many community representation. The real theme was connection in the community, and as I go through my thank yous, which I really need to do because this really takes a village to do, you can see how many connections were made. So between the sponsorships and the gifts and donations and the race registrations, we were able to bring in $30,000.
Oh.
So I think the first year I was involved in this in 2017, I think it was definitely under $10,000 that we brought in. So that's quite a big jump. Now we have to settle our bills, of course, and it takes some time since we do the registration online to let that clear. So in October, we'll know what we are going to be able to give to the beneficiaries of the race proceeds, which are the beautification committee. So Danny, nice to tell us why we need to do that, and Swadish for the library. But I'm very confident that we'll be able to give them their biggest payout ever.
Nice.
So there's a lot of people who helped make this happen. The volunteers, I'd like to recognize are Claire Gorman, Jeff Zuckerman, Sophia Chiappetta, Deb Conkling, Liz Reichelt, Ginger Crosby, Mr. Ginger Crosby. Some of you might know him as Donald Crosby, but I know better. Susan Chiamara, Shannon McDonough, Bob McCarthy, Elaine Gary, Barbara Niemanen, John Galuzzi, Marianne Bateman, John Gunther, Tuckahoe BSA Troop 19. They are always there, and they were out in force with us. And a special thank you to Norah Pauldall for singing a wonderful a cappella rendition of the Star Spangled Banner. Also wanted to thank Eastchester Cross Country, and Zach Burbett's physics class, who came out and did a lot of volunteering on the race course as well as for the bib registration. And I want to thank RE/MAX in Crestwood. They sent out a team who staffed our water station at the end of the race. Of course, Tuckahoe police were out there under the direction of Lieutenant Zerolnik and did an amazing job. Always a great thing for a race director when we get through a race without having the police or the EMS handle any issues. I wanted to make a special thank you to Joe Cristallo from DPW, who was there very early in the morning with John Galuzzi and I to do all the heavy lifting. Special thank you to Assemblywoman Amy Paulin, not only who was a platinum sponsor of the race, but who was also there with Senator Shelley Mayer to be a support in the community. Our local county legislator, Damon Marr, ran the race. Joe Dooley and Luigi Marcocha were there from the Eastchester Town Board to support us as well. And for the first time, at least since I've been doing this since 2017, the entire Tuckahoe Village Board was represented. I'm very proud of that. Danny Lang and all of his wonderful sons were there to help volunteer. The mayor and Trustee Taylor brought along some friends, and Trustee Cronin led a really great pre-race stretch session. So I really wanted to thank the board for all of their support. This was, one of the reasons we were able to bring in so much money was really from an amazing, amazing response from our local businesses. We had 2 platinum sponsors this year. I don't think that's ever happened before either. So the Raffiani Family Foundation, who has been our signature sponsor for several years now, we wanted to give a special thank you to them, as well as Assemblywoman Amy Paulin. Our gold sponsor, Broken Bow Brewery, and this is where connections come in. We had the whole Lamoth family run the race, and then Broken Bow invited everyone who was registered for the race back to the brewery for an after-race party. For silver sponsors, we had Elide, New Row Runners, who were there in force, and Cornell's Hardware, RE/MAX from Eastchester and Crestwood, Westchester Tile and Marble, Performance Plus Service Station. Bronze sponsors were Westchester Funeral Home, Angelina's Restaurant, County Legislator Damon Marr, Roma's Restaurant, Citron Brothers, Meta Ray, Totally Wired, Tucked Away, George Berger and Associates, Crestwood Shoe Repair, Nicole Interior Designs, Koala Park Daycare, who had a team of 30 people represented there. So thank you to Karina Wiley. She's an amazing cheerleader. Friends of Anthony Giacombi, Village Realty, Yoga 6, and then we had a company called Kate's Real Food email me from Oregon. They sent out some bars, which we passed out yesterday. We had a number of businesses give gift certificates that we raffled off to, again, increase that registration. We had some from Tuckahoe Animal Hospital, Cowers Paint and Glass. The Marriott Spring Hill Suites gave away 2 free nights at the hotel. They also had employees running in the race, and Equinox Gym. So just an amazing response from local businesses. I can't thank you enough. So everybody, we need to go out and patronize our local businesses. They are so supportive. Wanted to give a shout out to Start to Finish, who's the timing company in Long Island, New York. They did a really wonderful job. And to Red Sun Custom Apparel in Selbyville, Delaware, who does our great shirts. And of course, we had our local resident, Barbara Niemanen, design that shirt. So thanks to everyone. The last thing I wanted to address was there was a rumor that I've heard a couple times over and over again, and I just wanted to give some clarity to people on it. And the rumor is that somehow the property where Cowers and Roma is going to be developed into a giant affordable housing complex. So I just wanted people to know, and we may have addressed this again, but it keeps coming up. So I want to make sure people understand that area is zoned for commercial real estate. So we can't build residential housing on it without changing the zoning. So that would be a huge process. There would be a lot of transparency on that process. So I just wanted to assure people that, you know, right now that can't happen because it's not zoned for residential real estate, and we'd have to go through a process to change that zoning. That's all I have to report. Thank you, everyone, and thanks to the whole community for coming out to the race. It was a lot of fun.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Trustee Taylor.
The Tuckahoe Community Center. Open gym times at our community center are on Tuesday and Thursdays from 1:30 to 4 p.m. You can play basketball, foosball, soccer, and enjoy sports television. Parties can be scheduled from 4 to 6 p.m. Monday through Friday. On Saturdays, 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. To schedule a party, call John Galuzzi at 914-231-0229. And finally, the summer camp program from the young ladies from WJCS was a huge success. The Tuckahoe Housing Authority. The Tuckahoe Housing Authority's annual Family Day was a huge success. Thanks to the chairperson, Chanel Moore, and all of her staff and volunteers, the Housing Authority, and all who made donations and donated their time. Like so many other places in our village, the Tuckahoe Housing Authority was affected immensely with the flooding on a level that we have never seen before from Hurricane Ida. So many people lost all of their property that was stored in the building's basements, but even worse, they lost their cars. They also lost their cars. After speaking to a FEMA representative, I was informed that any resident who suffered lost property, had damage to their homes caused by Hurricane Ida, can file a claim with FEMA. Once you have had your insurance company come in and assess your damages and give you a written estimate on your losses and let you know what they will not cover. You can then file a claim with FEMA for the things that was not covered by your insurance company. This also includes your cars. Many of the residents were worried that if they didn't have the full coverage on their vehicles, that they had no recourse to get any kind of monetary money to help with their vehicles, reimbursement for their vehicles. So what you need to do is you have to have your car inspected by a mechanic shop, have a written estimate about the damages caused by the flood, and then with that written estimate, you can file a claim through FEMA, and they will submit it through the state. FEMA does not pay the claims, the state does, but you can file it through FEMA. The Eastchester Community Partnership. The Books and Beyond Summer Camp program ended August 13th. Every camper was happy and had fun, caring, and nurturing time during this summer camp. Southern Westchester BOCES has English classes at ECAP Monday to Thursday, 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. Registration began on September 9th. The program actually began on September 9th and will run until October 25th. You must be 18 years or older to attend. For more info, call 914-937-3829. New York Project Hope, Coping with COVID, helping seniors cope in a new world. Starting this Tuesday, September 14th, they are having classes at the ECAP in the September 14th, September 21st, September 28th, October 5th, and November 12th. If you need more information, you can call ECAP and speak to Denise Chin at 337-7768. ECAP is also seeking nominations for volunteer members to serve on the ECAP Advisory Board to represent the target population. As an active ECAP advisory member, you will attend 4 meetings to assess and evaluate program effectiveness to meet the community's needs and assist with fundraising. Nominees must reside in Bronxville, Tuckahoe, or Eastchester, meet community service block grant income guidelines. You must submit a written request to ECAP for your name to appear on the ballot as an advisory board member by Wednesday, September 15th. The elections will be for a one-year term and will be held on October 6th. And ECAP's after-school program has started already, thanks to the Community Fund of Bronxville, Eastchester, and Tuckahoe, which is the funding source for the program. Their goal and objectives is to provide enrichment programs and services to underprivileged children in the community. And finally, also on 9/11 in the celebration, there was a celebration at Eastchester Town Hall, and then we had our own celebration right here at the village. And I just want to say to all of the families of the victims and the first responders that was lost on and since 9/11, 2001, may God continue to keep, bless, and strengthen you as you continue to cope with the pain of losing those who remain so dear to your heart. Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Taylor. Trustee Cronin?
Good evening, everybody. It's good to see such a great turnout. I hope that everyone is recovering well enough from the remnants of Hurricane Ida. Again, I want to echo the sentiments of my colleagues in shouting out our DPW and the Tuckahoe Police Department for their tremendous recovery, cleanup, and help efforts during and after the storm. Another big thank you to the custodial and maintenance staff at the school district, at the Tuckahoe School District. We understand that they put in a huge effort in order to allow schools to open last week, only having to postpone by one day, really. Also, a big thanks to the village staff for a wonderful 9/11 tribute, and especially to the young people who participated. So we had participants from Troop 16, Pac 7, and Troop 19. The Star Spangled Banner was sung tremendously by Renee Ong Arana, and we had a reading by Samirth Gowindi, and I want to thank the young people for participating. It's so important for them to understand the impact and the importance of such a day and what that means for us as a community. I'd like to welcome back all the teachers and staff and support staff and students to the school districts. I'm sure you're going to have a great year, but let's remember the summer is not over yet, and we will be having, hopefully, this Friday, our final movies in the park. We are showing Disney Pixar's Soul. If it looks like there may be rain, so if rain is in the forecast, we will have to postpone for maybe the following week. Sundown is a little bit earlier now, so that'll be at 7 p.m. and it's in Main Street Park. As usual, admission is free. Popcorn, snacks, and treats are all free, and everybody is welcome. We just ask that everybody socially distances once they are at the park. Speaking of which, I want to extend a deep thank you to all the volunteers who have made these movie nights possible, including Courtney Asanison, Marilyn Graham, John Gunther, Donna Blackman, Marvine Downs, John Henry Smith III, the Riley family, especially big thank you to Trustee Taylor and Mayor Andino, and our businesses that continue to support this, Cornell's True Value and Sonus Music. Please remember these businesses that contribute to so many of our events here in the village. We are still registering for Tuckahoe Cares Day. So Tuckahoe Cares Day is a village-wide cleanup. There have been some comments and concerns about the litter and trash that we are seeing in the village, and this has seemed to have been an uptick with COVID. A lot of it is masks, but some of it is just regular trash. So we, in conjunction with the Tuckahoe Environmental and Sustainability Committee, we are hosting a Tuckahoe Cares Cleanup Day. We are asking for volunteers. So this is very much like the river cleanup that that is run by the River Keepers, thank you, Association. And so every volunteers will gather. We already have quite a number of volunteers, but we are looking for more. Volunteers will gather at Tuckahoe Community Center at 10 a.m. next Saturday, the 25th. And you will be given gloves and garbage bags, and we will have a limited number of garbage loppers, those things to help pick up garbage. And, you know, this is a great way to get community service for young people. We've reached out to the schools and the Tuckahoe the Tuckahoe Bronxville Eastchester Community Fund, and so we are getting some volunteers from them. So if you are interested in participating, you can check out the social media, and it's also available on the Tuckahoe Village website. I'd like to extend a big thank you to Steve and Joy Zellen, who donated a Garlando foosball table. So now we have 2 foosball tables at the community center last month. Okay, so the seniors are still meeting mostly via Zoom, although they have 2 in-person bingo sessions, which I've just been told are now at the Assumption Church, and they're still hoping to meet inside later in the season. A couple of events that are happening: Senior Law Day, which is sponsored by the county, and this is a good event. It's in and it's on my social media, and I can always send it to anybody who's interested. This is an excellent program that helps seniors navigate all things law. In terms of aging and moving into the next stage of their life. There are personal one-on-one consultations, so if anybody would like to participate in that, it is September 30th at 10 a.m. in Harrison. Westcop and the New York Project Hope are doing a series here at the CAP, helping seniors cope in a new world. This is a 6-part series, which actually starts tomorrow, the 14th, and continues through October. You can RSVP by calling Denise Chin at the CAP, and her number is 914-337-7765. In our resolutions, we put forth a resolution to become part of the livable community, a livable communities village, and this really just means it's a program sponsored by Jewish Community Services and the county, which allows us to have more access to different programs and events that help seniors here in Tuckahoe age in place, age with dignity and grace, hopefully in the home that they've always known. So it's a good way for us to get resources, and that's why we're applying to become a Living Communities Village. And that is all I have.
Thank you, Trustee Cronin. So much of what I wanted to report on has already been reported on, so I'll keep my comments brief since it looks like we might have some people who want to come back to the mic. I also want to acknowledge the 9/11 ceremonies that we attended in Eastchester as well as the one in Tuckahoe. Both ceremonies were really beautiful and moving. And I was, fortunate to have an opportunity to speak to one of our residents whose husband passed away on 9/11, and was really in awe at this person's, it's Ron Bucher's wife, at her resiliency, her commitment still to the people who were impacted on that day. She still has an annual event and brings those people together 20 years later, and she couldn't be here because she was still putting that together. So it was just a time where I also watched a program last night that was very moving, just talking about the 300 plus firefighters who were lost on that day, and how many of those firefighters that had to be replaced were replaced by the children of firefighters who were lost on that day. So just really a tribute to the bravery and the stamina of the human being. Also, Tuckahoe Family Day was a really great day that we, Trustee Taylor talked about. I really want to give a huge thank you to our Deputy Mayor for the task of the Tuckahoe Challenge was an amazing one. And when I learned that we raised $30,000, I was, floored by that. And I know that the Beautification Committee and the library were too. It was just such an amazing day of unity and people coming together and just having fun and sort of moving toward that post-COVID stage. So it was really great. Thank you, Deputy Mayor, for all the work that you've put into it, because it's not an easy task. We didn't have a meeting last year, so I wanted to report last month. So I wanted to report that the vaccine clinic that we held on July 31st, we had 54 people finally vaccinated. For those who were interested in getting the vaccine. And I really want to thank our legislators who, time and time again, that we go to with an open hand asking for money, and they find it and they give it to us. So I want to thank Amy Paulin for the $26,000 that she granted to for the police department for different needs that we have there. In addition to, now we just learned that she gave us an additional $34,000 for the library. So thank you to Amy Paulin. Shelley Mayer also, there's money that's been granted. It's forthcoming still, but She also donated some money to meet the needs of the police department. And as well as our county legislator, Damon Marr, who actually gave a grant to ECAP for $15,000 for FEMA-related assistance to the residents in Tuckahoe. So thank you to our legislators for always supporting us, and it really, it helps us to be able to keep our budget in check and to help us not be at a great deficit. And because of the grants that we have received through them and through the county, we have been able to keep our taxes in check. Also, during Hurricane Ida, I got a chance to go out and meet some of the residents in the areas that were mostly impacted on Lake and Armavilla and also on Washington. And just I'm really amazed at those people who were impacted the worst showed the most gratitude. Went to someone's house and her basement was just totally flooded and she had no boiler and hot water, and all she said is, yeah, but we're all fine. And do you want to come in and have a beer? It's just in really good spirits. So, I really am in awe sometimes at those people who are suffering the greatest tragedy and their response to it. Deputy Mayor already talked about, but I'll just reiterate the town hall meeting that is going to be held tomorrow on FEMA grants is at 6 p.m. And I think we did send out an email. If anyone's on our email list, which you should get on, if you're not on it, you can call Jackie, and you can just go on the website, David, right, and get your email there, so that way you can get notices out as well. Right, and it is on Jamal Bowman's website as well. So I encourage there. I've heard that there were some people who said, "Oh, it's a dead end street. I'm not going to apply." I urge residents who have been impacted to please go on, try and apply for apply for FEMA grants. And if you need some assistance, you feel that the application is cumbersome, reach out to us and we will make sure that you have some help. Okay. So that will take us to a second opportunity to address the board on any items on or off the agenda. So who would like to come up first? Anybody want to come up to address the board?
Good evening. My name is Pasquale Santelli. I'm the owner of Pasquale's Deli. And before I go to my primary subject, 2019 I opened up the store and there was a flood of flyers and asking for donation. And I felt, when I heard that there was local businesses that contribute to the race, I wasn't asked this year. Nobody came with flyers, nothing. So I don't know what's the difference between 2019 and this year.
Okay.
So I'm available to help and everything. So
Thank you.
Yes, thank
Okay.
you. And I don't know because I thought we used the same list, so I will definitely make sure that you're on that list. And thank you for bringing it forward.
thank you. The reason I'm here tonight is I was informed that there's some people that they want to boycott me for just posting things on my private page, my private Facebook page, not my business page, my private Facebook page. Number one, it's invasion of privacy to go to somebody's page and detract pictures of my posts and make a present to some people that their idea is different than mine. This is a free country. It still is a free country. I've been here for 15 years. Nobody ever told me what to do. Nobody ever told me the way to live. And I will continue to do that. Now, these people that did this thing to me, there's a relation in Tuckahoe. This picture from Tuckahoe went to Eastchester. I want to bring these people forward that they did this. If you want to give your names.
So I'm curious as to, you're bringing it to the board for the purposes of what? Because this board doesn't address that.
Well, it's got to do with this town. Somebody from this town
But still,
took picture my private page.
okay. So I'll let you finish everything that you have to say, and then I will respond.
Well, I'll get to the point, Mayor.
Sure.
The first page was taken out from my Facebook page. Has your name on it. Can you explain me that?
Sure, I can. So when I've been called by residents to complain about your Facebook page and telling me that they're going to boycott you, I got several calls. So I go for myself to make sure it's not a village employee, because then I'm concerned that we have village employees that are doing this, and so that I have information that is firsthand. And everybody has a right to do that.
No, they don't. Not to go on my
Yes.
page.
Yes, everybody does have a right
No,
to do
they
that.
have the
sir.
right. They have the right to complain about my business page, not my private page.
Okay, what I'm saying to you is that when these things come to my attention, my primary concern is, are they village employees that are getting in the midst of this? Not private employees, so I like to find information out for myself.
Mayor, it's got your name over here.
I just told you that that's accurate.
So you're an employee of the town.
I'm not.
Yes, you are.
No, no, no. What I'm saying to you
Yes,
is,
you are. You're an employee of the town.
so can I just reiterate what I said? I have a right to go and check and see to make sure that it's not village employees who are the ones that are involved in any of that. So I have a right to do that, which I have done not just for you. When I get complaints about other cases, I do the same thing, and that's my right.
Mayor,
So that doesn't mean, so let me just finish. That doesn't mean that I'm the one that's saying that you should be boycotted. I'm hearing that, and I'm getting information.
Why was nothing done about?
Wait,
This
I'm
is
sorry.
from August 10th.
About what? Why was nothing done about what?
It started on August 10th. Mayor.
Right, but I'm asking
Mayor,
you,
the
why
bottom
was,
line is your name over here. It's not
Sir?
supposed to be there.
why not?
Because you're supposed to take care of the town, not people's Facebook.
Sir,
Okay?
hold on, hold
You're not
on.
supposed to, you're not supposed to look into people's pages.
I can look into anyone's Facebook page.
No, I don't. I don't. I mind my
Okay.
business. I mind my
Sir.
business, and that's it. I don't care what people post. I really don't care. They can post anything
Sir.
they want. They can post that they're going to bomb somewhere. I don't go into people's pages. And I don't want nobody to go in my page.
So, sir, what I'm saying to you is that when things come to my attention,
Mayor,
that-
I already heard that.
So
It's
then-
not making sense to me.
okay, so then that's the answer.
No, it's not. It's not
That's
an
the
answer.
answer.
Okay, so your name is over here. Who's Marianne Bateman?
What do you mean?
That's
You-
the lady that wants to boycott me. Who is she?
okay,
I don't know her. She's not my customer.
okay.
These are my best customers. Right, that's my family right here. This
Sir.
is my family. This Tuckahoe. This is Tuckahoe. Eastchester is not Tuckahoe. Yes, there is a communication. There is a connection with it. I have customers from Eastchester too. But these people, they should be brought up to the attention to the law, and they will.
But they're being brought to the attention to the law for
Yes,
what? For what purpose?
On purpose.
What did they do? What did they do?
They invaded my privacy.
Okay, sir, if you have an open Facebook page, then they did not invade your privacy.
Who gave them permission to go? I'm not their friends. I'm not their friends on Facebook. I'm not. I don't know this. These people, Mayor, if I knew these people and it has something to do with them, a discussion, a fight, anything, that's a different story. But not knowing these people, somebody put them into it to do it.
Okay.
Okay, so what is your name over here for?
I just
Mayor?
I just explained that to you 3 times.
You posted this. Mayor.
I didn't post
Yes,
it.
you did. That's your
I
name is over
posted
here.
it?
Yes.
To where? To where did I post it?
To your friends in Eastchester.
Sir, I have gotten many messages about your posts and
Okay.
people's concerns about your post. My response to the public is, your posts are your posts. If they want to do whatever they respond to it, they have a right to do that.
Right, but then they're gonna ruin my business. You're happy about that?
I am not
You have
happy
no
about
answer.
it.
Yes, you are.
I
You
am
have
not.
You're
So-
supposed to defend me.
Okay,
I am
so
a business in Tuckahoe.
let me ask you a
miss.
question.
I am a business in Tuckahoe, Mayor.
Let me ask you a question. Why is it that you're saying that they want to boycott you? Why is that?
I have no idea because I don't know who put my name in their mouth.
Okay. All right. So you brought your concerns forth. We've heard them. I've told you how I feel about it
Right.
and what I believe is also my right and why, and that's the answer. So is there anything else that you'd like to present?
There is. You already know what's going on, Mayor. You already. Know
Yes, I
what's going
do.
on.
I do know what's going on.
Okay. Why is your name over here? You didn't
Okay.
answer my question yet.
Sir, I did answer your question several
Oh,
times.
you detracted the picture. You did.
Many people have detracted the picture.
Why did you do that?
I just explained to you why, sir. And we won't do this all night long.
I need to know why, for a reason why you did this for me. Why to me? Why? Give me a reason why.
Did
My
I?
ideas are my ideas. Your ideas are your ideas.
You're absolutely right.
Okay, nobody's going to cancel me. I cancel people. Nobody cancel me.
I'm not looking to
I'm
cancel
not here
anybody.
to get canceled.
All right, sir.
I'm a tough person. Remember that. I'm a good person, a good-hearted person. I'm tough in the meantime too. Okay. I have to thank these people here. I don't have to thank Miss Bateman or the other lady that they want to boycott me. They don't do nothing for me. These people do for me. These people here. That's my family right here. That's my family right there. Okay?
Thank you for your comments.
If you don't like it for me to be in business over here, tough, because I'm going to be here for life.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I do social media for a living. That's what I do. And if you don't want people to see your page, you have to make it private. If it's public on Facebook, people can see it. No laws are broken. If you don't want people to see it, then make it private for just your friends to see it. That's how it works. You may not agree with it. I think Zuckerberg's a jerk, but that's a whole nother issue. Okay, so I just wanted to make that point. The other point is that the First Amendment, freedom of speech is about saying whatever you want. The government can't restrict you. However, if you're going to put something out there in public, which is what a post is on your Facebook page, unless you make it private, then people may not like what you post, and you have to be able to accept that. Whether that's right or wrong is immaterial. That's what it is. So you can be mad and you can be upset that people want to boycott, but when you put something out, there's a chance that somebody might not like it, and they may react to it. And that's just you have to suck it up and deal with it. That's how it works. They can't say anything about it. The government can't tell you what to say. None of us. None of us can be told by anybody up here or any government official what we can say or not say. So I agree that he can put up whatever he wants. Absolutely. But he then has to realize that if it's public, some people might not like it. Oh, I agree with you. She didn't go after you. She didn't go after you. She doesn't want boycotts.
So, I'm sorry, Mike.
She didn't screenshot it.
Mike, we're not going to have a back and forth dialogue. You can make make your statement and then you can sit down.
So the other
and then we
thing
can go from there.
Well, number one, just as a side note, I don't think that we should make fun of people's looks because both sides have ugly people.
Can you explain what it says on top over there?
I don't have my glasses. Hold on.
Okay. Put your glasses on and just see what it says over there. The meaning of my post. Just
So-
say it loud, please.
Pasquale Santelli, need higher door and ceilings. You shared this one from Claire Hewitt Murray. When you're the prettiest girl in the entire gender-neutral bathroom, and it's a picture of Herman Munster. Now, somebody might not like that.
Okay, but you know who Emma Munster is?
Oh, I know who Herman Munster is.
Okay.
Yeah, I know.
Big, tall, and large, right?
Right.
Okay. If they don't know who Emma Munster is, and that's my meaning of the person, that you need bigger doors and higher ceiling, this way it can come in. So that's the meaning. That's not
Okay.
the meaning of the
Mike, so
I know. Listen,
finish up because I need to.
Here's one thing, we got to move on. But by pointing up a picture of Herman Munster, what you're saying to people that don't agree with you is that transgender people are monsters, right? No, I'm just saying. You may not like it.
I'm sorry, who posted this? Who posted it?
So
I'm
Mike,
not going to sit down, okay?
Mike.
I'm not going to sit down.
All right. So Mike, can I ask you to have a seat?
I will sit down.
And there are 3 posts, and I'll address this publicly. I'm asking everyone that's at the podium to sit down right now. Please sit down, sir. And sit down, Mike. There are 3 posts that were offensive to the community and people in the community. One post makes fun of people with disabilities. Yeah, one post makes fun of people with disabilities. So I want you to understand why. Excuse me, sir, I didn't ask you to stand up again. Please have a seat. No. I want you to please have a seat while I finish what I'm saying, and then I'll ask you to come back up. Please have a seat. So we're going to talk about it. Let's. So there were 3 posts that were made. There were some political posts. That's your prerogative. All of it is your right, frankly. But if you're concerned about people responding to your posts, there were 3 posts that were really offensive to a lot of people. That's how it came to my attention. One of them was you posting a picture of Mr. Ed, the horse, and then right next to him you have a political figure, and you have a post below her name that says Special Ed. Special Ed refers to people who receive services because of their disabilities. That was offensive to a lot of people. People do not understanding that government does not censor what you put on your Facebook posts, come to me and to other people on this board and say, what are you going to do about that? Nothing. We don't do anything about it. I might not agree with it, which I don't. I think it's very offensive to state something like that about a person, especially since I work with people with developmental disabilities. That's the first thing. The second post that was extremely offensive is the picture with Herman Munster, and the caption says something about this is the prettiest girl in the gender-neutral bathroom. This month is Suicide Prevention Month, and many people have brought out how much transgender and people that identify as other than their gender, as people might think, have committed suicide because they're ostracized, because they're ridiculed, and because they're bullied. So that was also offensive to a lot of people, sir. So everything that I'm saying to you, I'm just bringing to your attention what was offensive. And then the third thing was a post about the police officers at the Capitol during the insurgents, implying that it wasn't an insurgents and that those police officers, we wouldn't want to fight next to them in Vietnam. Those were 3 posts that offended people. You're okay with your opinion, but you have to also understand that that's how people might respond. They might respond very passionately about those posts. So when those things come to my attention, 2 things that I do is to see for myself what people are saying. And number 2 is to make sure that no one in the village, like on this board or an employee, is using that information wrongly and saying things that are not true or that are, getting involved in it. So those are the 3 things that were offensive to people.
The question about Vietnam. Do you know the condition that they fought in Vietnam?
What does that have to do with the post?
Do you know the condition they fought in Vietnam?
I wasn't in Vietnam, but
Okay.
but my father was. But my father was.
My brother too.
Fine.
He was
So
in Guam.
so careful there.
I don't have to be careful. I have to
My
explain
father
reason.
was in Vietnam, so I do
I'm
know.
not offending anybody. Okay, I thank the people from Vietnam. All
Okay.
the fighters in Vietnam, I thank them, because that's the freedom. Because of these people that go to war.
Okay,
That-
so
okay, this-
that's all your right. but it's also the right of the average citizen, anyone, to respond to your posts and not be happy with them. You understand
That's
that?
not about the post. It's about reality. We saw on video the guards, the police, they let people in the Capitol. That's what's the meaning of this post.
Okay.
Meaning that the soldiers that they fought in Vietnam, they don't want nobody like that next to them. Otherwise, they're going to get killed.
Okay.
So that's the meaning of the post.
Okay.
And you described it wrong. I'm sorry.
And what about the other 2 posts? You don't find them?
Of Irma Monster, first of all, it's not my post. I reposted it.
Right, I know that.
And I'm...
Please don't yell out. Please don't yell out, anyone. Please don't yell out. Please don't yell out if you're sitting in the audience. Please don't yell out. Sir? 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 Ay.
Okay, folks, we need some order in here, please.
Okay, sir, I'm going to let you have the last word, and then you'll have to sit down so someone else can speak if they so choose.
You know, you're taking this lightly,
I
Mayor.
tried-
Yes, you are. Yes, you are.
I'm not. I tried to
There's
explain
no
to
big
you.
consequences on this. Need iron door and ceilings. You know what that means? What did I say? My words. These are my words. What did I say about transgender? I didn't say nothing. There's just a picture somebody else posted. I reposted it.
Okay, sir.
What came out of my hands that I typed? Did you see what I typed?
Yeah, but
So
you
don't tell me that I put this picture on.
you reposted that, and it's on your
You have
page.
to see what I posted, what I wrote.
Okay.
Okay. And what was the picture that I have a picture with the robust arena. What was that offensive on that?
It wasn't. That's
Okay,
that's your political affiliation.
So why they put it?
I just mentioned the 3 posts that were the ones that were offensive to many people.
Okay,
Those were the 3
hand
posts.
it right here, Mayor. Okay, you know what the problem is? I'm a Republican, and I'm a Trump supporter. That's what the problem is.
Okay.
And you Democrats don't like it. Thank you.
You're welcome. Yes, next person.
Hello, I'm Angela Pellegrini, and I just wanted
What's your
to talk
address? Address?
about, I'm Fairview Avenue, lived on Underhill for 30 years. I am a past business owner, and it makes me very sad to see that stuff like this is happening, because I had a lot of problems here when I had my business. What people don't realize is that it's very difficult being on the other side. We work very hard. We need the support of the people in this town. We're not bringing in people from outside. We need the few customers that come to us so we can pay our bills and still come and smile when you walk into our business. When Pasquale came to town, I was happy. I was happy because I go back many, many years with his wife. We grew up together. We were children together. So I was happy to see that someone was coming into the town that I live in. And besides, he makes the best mozzarella, that's for sure.
That's what I hear.
Okay, my question is this. So we have problems like this that happen in our town. What are we going to do about it? We're standing here, we're arguing. We don't want to argue. We want to find a resolution to keep Pasquale in business and to keep all of these rumors that do ruin businesses, because I know firsthand. Okay, what are we going to do about this to stop this and to keep our business strong? We need businesses like Pasquale's in our town. We have a lot of empty spaces. It doesn't look good. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Come on up. Please state your name and address.
Nancy Norday, 4 Consulate Drive. First of all, when you post something on Facebook, when you repost it, even though you don't write anything, that becomes what you say. Whether you wrote something or not, that becomes what you say. So if you wrote something that was offensive, and I saw what was written, and I was offended by it. But I wouldn't, if I had to buy something and I wanted to buy it, I wouldn't, hold that against you because that's what you say on Facebook. And what is happening here is like, you said this to me, and I want to do this to you. This conversation, in my opinion, is as childish as some of the fights we see on Facebook. If you don't want to be on Facebook and you don't want to be held responsibility for what you post or repost, don't repost it.
Sir, I'm asking for someone else to come forward. Sir,
Ma'am, excuse me. I wasn't the one to repost or bother them. I was bothered. They bother me. I don't know these people that will repost them myself. It wasn't a back and forth. It wasn't back and forth. They started, not me. They started, not me.
Thank you. Said all I did was repost it. And if you reposted it, then that's your responsibility.
okay. So, excuse me. Next person that's coming forward, please.
How are you? Good evening. My name is Dominic Manginelli. I live at 101 Ridge Street in Eastchester. I don't live in Tuckahoe, but I'm here to speak on support of one of your local businesses, Pasquale's Deli. I came to find out that apparently there's some type of effort spearheaded by somebody to boycott his business because someone apparently is angry that his political views don't align with theirs. So I think that it's concerning, and quite frankly, it's disgusting that you would, or somebody would, intimidate or bully somebody in such a way to silence them and to cause financial harm to their business. And that's really what's happening here. The idea is if you financially harm them, they'll be quiet. Now, as a business owner myself, small business owner, I sympathize with that. I would just urge that anybody who hears of this to try to shut it down as fast as you can and to continue to support Pasquale, because if he closes down because of the financial harm that's being pushed on him, you're really doing a disservice to your community. And I'm not a resident of this town, but I am of Eastchester, and I do frequent all the businesses in this town. Thank you.
You're welcome. Anyone else? Yes.
My name's Anthony Laurie. In the evening on weekends, I work in a catering house. And many a nights I worked with Pasquale, and I could tell you, he is a total gentleman, respectable people, where he comes from. And when I worked with him, he had the utmost respect for everyone that came by his table where he was working, because I was working maybe a few tables away from him. And I got to say, the man is a total gentleman.
Thank you. Anyone else? Anyone else would like to speak publicly? Yes, Chris? If you're in the audience, I ask that you please not yell out unless you're at the mic. Yes.
Chris DiGiorgio, 50 Columbus. I first want to thank Danny with regard to highlighting Tuckahoe beautification. I give to Tuckahoe beautification. I think everyone should be.
You speak into the mic.
Oh, I'm sorry. I think everyone should be. So thank you for highlighting that, and their good work. I also want to put into the board's attention a concern I have for many, many years. And I haven't said it recently, and I think it's important to say. I think we really need to think about moving the library. And the reason I say that is because anytime we get these weather events, we get the flooding. And the library is a very important resource for this community. I think we really should be thinking about it. I don't say it's going to happen tomorrow, but I think we should really start to think about maybe finding higher ground for the library with regard to this flooding issue, because it's really on a lower level.
Can I just ask anyone in the audience to please not speak while there's someone at the mic? And if, okay.
Are you hearing me well?
Yeah, okay.
The third thing is I do want to address Pasquale's Deli. I am a customer of Pasquale's Deli. I've gone there a number of times. I haven't gone the last few months because I've been trying to lose weight, which is not happening. But I will say this. What I wanted to do was I wanted to go to Mr. Pasquale and tell him how offended I was with regard to the Herman Munster posting. I will say I've been a longtime member of the lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender community. I have friends who are transgendered. That would be offensive to them. If I showed it to any of them, they would be offended by that. And if you repost it, you must take responsibility for what you post online. These last few years, I have made a conscious effort not to put anything online that is controversial, and especially political. I may do something where it's, let's say, Tuckahoe Democrats, and I'll put something on that. But as for my own personal, I do spiritual posts, I do podcasts. That's my thing. And I say we just have too much pollution in Facebook right now. And if we want to live peaceful and be good neighbors, putting people down is not the way. And I really wanted, and I will say this about this discussion tonight, which saddens me. And that is that I don't think if it was brought to the attention now everybody is seeing the negative things that were posted for this business. Now it's amplified more than it has helped him. I think it's amplified it. And so I wanted, and I really mean this with due respect, Mr. Pasquale, I really wanted to come to your business on Wednesday and really talk to you about how offended I was privately, just to talk to you and just say, hey, you know, I value your business, and I was really happy to see a La Tagina store in this village. I'm happy to see right across the way from there is a needlepoint store that just opened, and I see that a juice bar is opening too. So that we're getting businesses here, so I want to see them all succeed. The worry I have is when people offend people, you can't separate business from offending. I just had a woman scream at me that she would never come to my office because I believe in marijuana. Okay, you know, it happens. You know, but I would just want to ask people to be respectful to one another. And like I said, I was personally offended being a longtime member of the LGBTQ community. Thank you.
Okay. Is there anyone else that would like to address the board? Yes, sir.
Hi, Peter Vishy, 28 Maynard Street, Tuckahoe, New York.
Hi.
I'd just like to say I was sitting at home watching the meeting, and this is ridiculous. It's a divided country. Don't you see it? You liberals, crybabies, you got nothing else better to do than to pick on a little guy, a mom and pop. You want businesses to come into this village. You want businesses to thrive. You don't want to hurt them. This is ridiculous on what you guys do. Don't you see it? No.
Are you asking me for an answer?
Well, I'm just saying, don't you guys see this country's divided?
So it is divided. What we're talking about
I'm
now.
happy to be Republican. Been over 30 years. I'm just going to vote Republican now.
And that's okay.
You know, in the past, I voted for the best person. Now, I'll just vote Republican. You know, and you guys made it like that. You Democrats, you crybabies, you liberals. You ruined this country.
Wow. Okay. Anyone else?
Nichols Neighbor, 108 Sagamore Road. You know, the conversation has clearly gone left about this topic. The last gentleman, all liberals are crybabies. I think that's divisive. I think if we want to unite Tuckahoe, I don't think that's the language we should be using. I support all businesses. My father owned a small business in Yonkers my whole life, and so any small business should be able to thrive in our community. And so what you might have posted was your business, in your opinion, and you can have that. But also know that there are repercussions how people might feel, okay? And I think that's just been missed here. I think we've also insinuated that the board is out to get you. I don't see that. I don't see evidence that that's what they did, right? So it might have been a private citizen who was offended, brought it to their, had them acknowledge it. We have multiple storefronts that are empty. I don't think this board does them any good to have someone leave, especially a business that's thriving like yours, in a location that's had several businesses come and go. So we want you to stay. I just think we need to work together in order to get past this. This is too divisive. This is not what Tuckahoe is. It's not what I love about Tuckahoe. And I think we just need to work together and work out the problems. Rather than screaming and shouting, I think we all need to work together in order to, you know, eradicate that issue, you know? So that's just my piece, what I've observed amongst the group, and hopefully this could be worked out. But again, I want to make clear that the board has not insinuated boycotting you. I don't think that does anybody any good. So that's just the point I want to make.
Okay.
Scooter Scott, 10 Circle Road. I think we should all just take a step back for a minute. And I'm not much of a raconteur, but indulge me. I remember when President Reagan was shot. Does anybody here remember who the first person he saw was? After the doctor, the first person allowed to visit him was the leader of his political opposition, Tip O'Neill. They prayed the 23rd Psalm. I grew up in an America where the phrase, "not my president," was never uttered. Now, back in November, Trustee Howell, at the time trustee, now Mayor Andino, and I went back and forth over a Facebook tete-a-tete concerning Chris Garrity, and you're posting about comparing President Trump to Hitler, and you're defending Renee's, or Trustee Howell's, right to do so because it was her personal page, not her trustee page. We have a similar situation here in that and we disagreed on certain parts. My position was, yes, it was her private page, but as has been stated and as you kind of said now, when you post something on the internet, you have to be willing to shoulder what comes after, no matter where it's posted. Mm-hmm. The whole bit with Chris and whatnot let's parse that out for now and focus on what we're talking about here as far as postings, repercussions, and how we as a community are going to continue as a community. Because if we look at the way this nation was framed politically, and we'll start there, It had its genesis in requiring people who disagree to find common ground. I don't have to be a Muslim to go to a Muslim doctor. I'm a Christian, but if there is an excellent Muslim heart surgeon and I need heart surgery, I'm going there. I don't care if he prays to a different God. I don't care if his political views align with mine. And one of the things that is fracturing community, the nation, is when we don't speak up individually to give, we say, we give lip service to live and let live now instead of actually living it out. When someone offends us, we immediately go to boycotting them instead of maybe going down, buying a sandwich, saying, hey, you know that thing you did? Didn't like it. It's immediately reactive, divisive, toxic. It's scorched earth. But getting back to that communal thing, if you scroll back to August 27th, hold on, August 27th of 2020 on your page, Mayor, there is an ad with you and at the time, Congressman Elliot Engel and you, Trustee Cronin, talking about representing everyone. You were elected to do that. People elect people. People gather the support of the electorate because of their hopes, dreams, aspirations, affinity, all of these things. But we elect you to try to lead us by being the best you can. Mm-hmm. And when we as a community get off track, to remind the community of that. I think what needs to kind of come to the fore here is when you spoke of the rights of the offended to do what they want, it was without the caveat or the reminder that yes, do what you want, but remember these people are your neighbors, they deserve dignity, and you probably post post things that they also are offended by, and they're not outside your front door. They're not smearing you. When we, just look at Washington. Turn on the news. What do you get out of Washington? Blame, deflection. Oh, it was the guy before me, and that's been going on for 30 years. The only way, yeah. But real leadership doesn't blame anyone. It looks at the problem, focuses on the solution, and in politics looks to build comedy, common ground, respect, demonstrate and live out and inspire dignity, the worth of everybody, even if you don't agree with them. And I think what Pasquale is really speaking out of is a certain heartache over the lack of support. Look, if, most of you are old enough to remember Saturday Night Live when Chevy Chase was on, and Richard Pryor. Probably one of the funniest routines ever done was the word association between them. You could never do it now, where it starts out as, up, down, it gets to black, white, gets very racial. There is a certain sense of humor, and that's really what we're talking about. What was considered a normal, common sense of humor back in those days is no longer that now. But those people have aged through that, and though the mores have changed, how the parameters have changed,
Just
Wrap it up, please.
Grace covers a multitude of sins. And as leaders, I think liberal applications of grace in the leadership, liberal applications or liberal application of grace in leadership, and demonstrable actions and speaking on the need for people to accommodate each other even when they're offended. Offense does not necessarily require retribution. Would be good.
Thank you. Thank you. All right. One last comment. Okay. All right. Yes.
First of all,
Just na-
Nancy
you-
from
yeah.
Consulate Drive again. What you were trying to do was really do your responsibility to find out if anyone who was involved in this was associated with Tuckahoe, correct? That's all you were doing. You were doing your job. Because as the chief of the village, you are responsible if someone who works for you is doing something that's offensive, because they don't have the protection of being a private citizen, because sometimes if you work for somebody, whatever you do for them, even though you do it privately, it reflects on who you work for, because we all work for people. So I'm just saying that I think that was a great thing that you were doing, and you're taking heed here because people are misconstruing what you were doing for their own personal advantage. Secondly, I hear people talking about political correctness. You know, I know things are very political correct. I remember Chevy Chase, I remember George Jefferson, and they said some really messed up stuff in the 70s. Okay? I remember when George Jefferson said the N-word on CBS, and we were all like, and we laughed. But people who don't like political correctness, sometimes they like the fact that they like to be able to say whatever they want to say to whomever they want to say it. They want to hurt people's feelings, and they say, oh, we need to forgive them because, you know, it's humor. We all know that humor, when you're a kid and someone is teasing you, that humor can cut you down so badly that you don't want to remember it.
Okay.
So I believe that political correctness, because we live in a society that is, you know, I'm going to say it, has systematic racism in it and wants to hurt people, and people use their words to hurt people.
If you're not at the mic, I'm asking that you
Also,
please be
I don't
silent.
mind the grumbling, because, you know, when you pinch somebody and you get to the truth, they always squeal.
Okay. So I want to respond to a couple of things, and then I'm going to close us out because I think people are getting tired. In response to Scooter Scott, your statement about last year and what happened with Chris Garrity and Deputy Mayor now Howell, they're two different things. Pasquale can post whatever he'd like to post. Mr. Pasquale is able to post whatever he'd like to post. That's his right. That's different than what happened in last year when I was addressing issues among village either appointed officials or elected officials. What's happening in the private sector is a different issue. People can post what business owners, what they'd like to post. Hold on, I'm not asking for you to come back and respond. Hold on. People who are in business can post whatever they would like to post, and the community at large can respond how they choose to respond. I'll say this. There were everyone on this board was presented with several posts that were posted by Mr. Pasquale. No one on this board spoke about this apart from a limited number of people, except for one person, which, you know, Danny Lang and I spoke today. You know, he spoke to, I guess, Gina Lee and others. The point that I'm making is that we didn't widely publicize this information that came to our attention, some of which was disturbing to me. Now, we've gotten plenty of messages that are disparaging, racist, misogynist, and I can go on and on and on, that we cannot ignore, that we can't sit here and say, why are you all ganging up on a business, which we're not, number one. And I would implore everyone here who does support Pasquale. I spoke to Chris DeGiorgio, who told me he's got a great product. I love his product. To speak to the fact that maybe some of the posts are offensive, and maybe there needs to be more of a discussion on that so that we can have some unity, because when there is a hurt that is not dealt with, it's hard to bring people together. It's hard for me to have a conversation with people who've come to me to say, look, this is a business owner in Tuckahoe that if you don't support, you're in essence hurting your own community. It's hard to do that when someone says, did you see what was posted? Did you see what was written? It's offensive. And I'll give you an example of, things that are coming to us at all times. And I'm asking you all to listen with an open heart, not with an angry one, so that you can understand what other people might be experiencing. Trustee Taylor received a message on Facebook that stated, and I'm quoting, "Why are you wearing those stupid masks outside in the fresh air and sunshine? Didn't you take science class in high school? They should replace you with a young, brave trustee. You are far too willing to be a slave." These are the kinds of messages that are out there in the community. And Mr. Pasquale, if you did not mean to offend anyone, I can accept that. I can receive that. But we have to understand that we're so bombarded with these kinds of messages, not just him, and this is a black man who's living in a world where he's experienced much more than any of you will ever even know about or even understand, because you would never have experienced his experience. So I'm speaking from a point of view that I understand. Him receiving this message has it's a deep, deep hurt that comes behind this. And so some of the messages that were posted also have the same impact on people. And so I want for our community to understand that and not just come out to rally. And I love to see everybody come out. And trust me, I am all for differences of opinion being voiced, people saying when they don't agree or agree with something. That's all fine. But just keep all of this in mind. There's a lot to it. It's not just he posted something and people are saying that they're going to boycott, which, by the way, I've heard only one person say that, and that was a month ago, and I haven't seen it happen yet. So on that note, I will remind everyone that we have a board meeting on October 4th, again at 7 p.m., and I encourage you to come back out in record numbers again, not just when there's controversy, but when there are items on the agenda for the village to weigh in on. If there's anyone on the board that would like to weigh in on this topic, I'll give you an opportunity to do so now. Okay. No, not now. Go ahead.
I think it's really important to note that there was no action taken by the board or any board members, as far as I understand, against Mr. Pasquale and his deli. I understand that people come in support, and I like to see the support. Mr. Pasquale has every right to post what he... Sorry, Mr. Pasquale has every right to post what he wants. People are going to, they may take offense. This is a divided community. I like to think of us as just a diverse community. People have a diversity of opinions. We do need to listen to each other. Sometimes, I over the last couple of weeks, I have seen Mr. Pasquale's lines out the door. So I hope that you are doing well. I hope that you are doing well and that your community is out there for you, right? And that the community is hearing your pleas. And I understand that. And I think that that's a fair feeling to have, Mr. Pasquale, right? I understand that you're heartbroken, that also other people may be heartbroken too. And there is a way for us to come together, right? I just don't want you to think that we are orchestrating some kind of mass conspiracy against you. As far as I understand, nobody here has commented about this at all.
Okay.
I understand that, yes. And I do think you should make your page closed and private in the future. I hope you do that.
Okay. So okay. So I'm going to close the meeting now. Would you? Well, Miss. Okay, Miss Lovely. Miss Lovely, we're gonna close the meeting now, and we will ask Gina, come ahead.
Gina Lee, One Westview Avenue. I was trying to speak, and I was very rudely grabbed by the arm by Marianne Bateman, County Legislator Damon Marr's aide, and told me she's not done with me yet, and you too, Danny. Okay? So that ended up being an argument outside, which is pretty disgusting.
Well, folks, I want to.
The one that mentioned
Hold on,
the word
Danny.
boycott and
Right.
that's my problem, Mayor. This post was sent to me. It was on a community page, okay? The post, when you clicked on the pictures, your name was on top. So somebody sent it to you, you sent it to them, and it was Janet Harrison. She's in charge of this page. She put it up. Minutes later, it was edited. Your name was off of the page, okay? I don't understand why, if you're saying that if you thought it was maybe an employee of the village, why didn't, you know Pasquale's not an employee of the village. So why didn't you take care of that right then?
What do you mean take care of it?
I don't understand what that means. You thought it was an employee, you wanted to make sure it was an employee of the village.
No, what I said was, in addition to that, when people are bringing information to me, I want to get that information for myself.
Okay.
That's what I said.
So whether you screenshot it, send it to Janet, listen, what Janet does sometimes is not really the best for our community, and she puts it on a community page. That's why all these people got to see this whole thing about Pasquale and everybody got upset, okay? But if you knew this back in August, why didn't you go to Pasquale and say something to him?
Because so again, it's not about respect. It's about me. I'm not going to go to every business who I don't agree with certain posts and go and talk to them.
You're supposed to be the biggest
Hold on.
cheerleader of local businesses.
I am.
Well, this
I am.
proves that it's really not. I mean,
Okay.
he needed help there. He needed help. And nobody except for Danny came forward with this. And then there's more posts put in your mailboxes. Who looked into it? Who looked into it? Somebody was in Village Hall.
Looked into what?
Who put those posts in the mailboxes?
We don't know.
All right,
So
that's
when
unacceptable.
No, it's not. When we get a number of things. We get a lot of anonymous emails, messages, letters. Are you looking to say something?
Somebody physically put it in the mailboxes.
Mm-hmm.
So did somebody trespass? Nobody gave it to anybody in the village.
The door was open, so it's not trespassing. The door was open. So now the door is locked.
Authorized personnel only in that.
Our door was open and someone came in. So for us to expend energy, for us to expend energy and tax dollars on an investigation for someone putting something in our mailbox doesn't make sense. So what we did is we put security measures in place to make sure that something like that doesn't happen again.
And I will tell you that we get anonymous things in the mail a lot.
In the mail, that's one thing, but loose papers.
And loose papers.
Well, I'm sorry, Gina. I'm talking about we can't investigate every anonymous thing that we get because you don't know where to start.
All right, somebody physically
And it's not
walked
worth
in
it.
there and put
Okay.
it in there. So
Okay.
there's a
I'll
problem.
let you finish.
Right. So we put a lock on the door now so people cannot do that.
That's what we did. Okay. No problem. Well, so as you hear, and I'm just gonna, one final thing, as you can see, Mr. Pasquale doesn't believe that he's done anything wrong. So that's his right. No, what I'm saying is that's his right. So he can continue to post if he so chooses. We have a lot of things on our agenda, ma'am, that we're taking care of in the village. I don't want to get intimately involved. I might get involved to a certain point. Hold on. I won't get intimately involved by saying to him, you shouldn't post this because that's his right. And then the next thing that would be said is, you're trying to impose on his right to free speech. So it's not something that's so cut and dry. So having said that, Gina, because we can do this all night, frankly, we really can. You know, I said my piece, you guys have said yours. I hope, Mr. Pasquale, you and I can have a conversation so that we can understand where the other is coming from. And I would like to do that if you're open. If you're not, that's okay too. And that's what we do. We move forward. Okay. So you've already made that decision, so that's okay. All right, thank you. Oh, boy. Okay, one last one.
I'm not going to. First place, as a person who has been in this town and probably on this earth longer than a lot of people in here, I am devastated by the attitude here tonight. But the conversation will not be put to rest until we can handle it in a dignified way. There are 8,000 people in the village of Tuckahoe. There's a loaded group here tonight who has come to present what they want to present. I'm saying that it should be on the agenda so that the whole village knows it's going to be the topic. Then we don't have the little in-group cheerleaders, but we have people representing this wonderful little village from all sides. No name calling, no accusations, a little bit of respect, a little bit of high class. Let's move up. Tuckahoe is the most diverse of the 3 entities in the town of Eastchester. We should not be at this low level, low class, like what's going on right now.
Hey,
I was
Chief.
there when George Wallace said segregation now, segregation forever. I know how this kind of thing ferments. I saw housewives spitting on little black kids going to school. We have got to rise above that here. This is Tuckahoe. This is the North. Someone from Washington said to me the other day, is Eastchester in the North? What is going on here? We got to cut this out. It's very nice. The choir that was here in number out-talked, outdid everybody else. Let's have a conversation that everyone in Tuckahoe can be there to be represented, present their points with dignity, and really believe in all of those songs that we sing, liberty and justice for all of the nice endings that we put on things, and then we show really who we are in this room tonight is fairly embarrassing. I'm asking, don't take this off the agenda, but leave it so it's open and so that a really representative, more widely representative group from the beautiful village of Tuckahoe can be here to reason. Let us reason together. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so I'm going to close the meeting at this point. It's 9:30, and I think people are tired. So Tuckahoe, we will have our next meeting on October 4th at 7 p.m. Same bat time, same bat channel.